Hello everyone, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about New York. This is their flag, which is actually very similar to a lot of states' flags, since all the state flags just tend to have a boring blue flag and then a symbol right there. In case you didn't know, it is right here. It borders New England and a foreign country, Canada. And this is their seal, which is the Greek seal of the state of New York, which is they just copied on it on the flag. New York is also known as the Empire State. New York is a state in the mid-Atlantic region and northeastern regions of the United States. It was one of the original 13 colonies forming the United States, with a total area of 54,556 square miles (141,300 kilometers). New York is the 27th largest state. Its population of more than 20 million people in 2020 makes it the fourth most populous state in the US. It once used to be the most populous one, but then it was overtaken by California, Texas, and Florida. The state is bordered by New Jersey and Pennsylvania to the south, and Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Vermont to the east. It has a maritime border with Rhode Island, east of Long Island, but actually Long Island and Rhode Island are not islands. But Long Island, we can say it's like a peninsula, while Rhode Island actually is connected to the mainland. But of course, it has some islands, as well as an international border with the Canadian provinces of Quebec to the north and Ontario to the northwest. You know, I thought I actually visited New York, kind of, since Niagara Falls is actually at the border of Ontario, New York. I visited it, so yeah, I was just at the border of just at the border of New York, USA, and it was kind of fun. I don't know if it's, I think the entire state of New York is that fun, or is it just the border? I don't know. It is sometimes referred to as the New York State to distinguish it from New York City, which is its largest city. Actually, when I was actually getting information about it, I said New York and gave information about New York City. So I have to search New York State also. Country: United States. Before statehood: Province of New York. Admitted to the Union July 26, 1788 as 11th state. Capital: Albany. Largest city: New York City. Largest metro: New York metropolitan area. As you can see here, we have map of all the 13 colonies of US. Climate. Climate change in New York encompasses the effect of climate change attributed to man-made increase in atmospheric carbon dioxide. In the US state of New York, it is of concern due to its impact on the people, ecosystem, and economy of the many parts of New York State are already experiencing weather changes and sea level rise and threaten local communities. As you can see here, we have a open climate types of New York. Population. The US most populous state until the 1960s, New York is now the fourth most populous state. Behind California, Texas, and Florida, the distribution of tax state change in population growth is uneven in the New York State. The New York City metropolitan area is growing alongside the Saratoga County, while cities such as Buffalo, yes, this is actually a city called Buffalo, Rochester, and Syracuse, among others, have been losing population for decades. New York City gained more residents between April 2010 and July 2018, 223,615 than any other U.S. state. Controversially, outside of the Ithaca area, population growth is much of western New York is nearly staggering. As you guys can see here, we have a density map of New York. As you guys can see, the northeastern areas are the most green one, which means they have low population, while areas with who borders Canada and New York City are the most populous one. Of course, with some cities like Buffalo, Albany, Rochester, in between. Race and ethnicity. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the New York had a racial and ethnic makeup of 50.1%, non-Hispanics white, 14.2% Black or African American, 0.2% American Indian or Alaska Native, 8.6% Asians, 0.6% from some other race, 2.1% from two or more races, and 19.12% Hispanic or Latin Americans of any race. There were an estimated 3,725 Native American and other Pacific Islanders in the state in 2019. Hispanic or Latin Americans of any race were 17.6% of the population in 2010, 5.5% Puerto Rican, 4.4% Dominican, 2.4% for Mexican, 0.4% Cuban, and 9.4% other Hispanic or Latin American origins like Colombia. According to the American Community Survey, the largest ancestry white American group were 13%, no surprise, since the ex-governor of New York, I don't know, what is his name? I forgot. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Okay, so Andrew Cuomo is actually Italian, who is the governor of New York, or let's say ex-governor, since he has actually resigned, but the next governor has to still take place. So, kind of the governor, I don't know. I figured out because of his surname, because his name was like English Andrew, but his and the same goes for his middle name Mark, but his last name was Cuomo, which is an Italian surname. In case you didn't know, of course, I did my research and find out that he's an Italian descent. Followed by 12.1% Irish, 10.3% German, Americans 5.4%. I guess when you say American, these are people who arrived, during the 17th century, 17th and 18th century, and 5.2% English. The state's most popular racial group, non-Hispanics, white, declined as a proportion of the state population from an whopping 3.4% in 1940 to 58.3% in 2010. As of 2011, 55.6% of New York population younger than age 1 were minorities. New York robustly increasing Jewish population, the largest outside of Israel, was the highest among states both by percentage and by absolute numbers in 2012. It is driven by high reproductive rates of Orthodox Jewish families, mm, particularly in Brooklyn community of Hudson Valley. By the way, actually watched a movie called Don't Mess with Zohan. It was a very cool movie. Most of its shooting were done in New York actually. I guess it was in Brooklyn. And yeah, check that movie out. It's kind of cool. You can find it on Netflix. Language. In 2019, the U.S. Census Bureau reported 69.5% of New York population aged 5 and older only spoke English, with 30.6% speaking a language more than English. That is like nearly 1 in 4 people. Spanish remained the second most spoken non-English language with 2,750,925 speakers. Other Indo-European languages were spoken by 1,587,798 residents, and Asian and Pacific Islander languages were spoken by 948,959 people. At the American Community Survey 2017 estimates nearly 6 million residents spoke a language other than English. Approximately 1,249,541 New York residents spoke Spanish, 386,290 Chinese, 122,150 Russian, 63,650 Haitian Creole, 62,219 Bengali, and 60,405 Korean. So much maths, I guess, in that. In 2018, 12,756,175 is 5 and older spoke English alone, and 10,415,365 is 18 and older only spoke English. Spanish-speaking households by majority were not limited English speaking. I don't know if it's limited, what is it, because here is a lot of white colors, so I can't really see that. An estimated 2.7 million households with residencies 5 and older spoke Spanish, Chinese, Slavic, and French languages were the following largest household languages spoken in 2018. So keep in mind that a lot of data was from 2011, 2018, so of course things may have changed. Okay. And the governor is Andrew Cuomo, who's a Democrat. And the late third governor is Kathy Hochul, who's also a Democrat. The legislator is state legislator. The upper house is state senate. The lower house is state assembly. The jurisdiction is New York Court of Appeals. U.S. Senators Chucky Compton, who is a Democrat, and Chrissy Gillibrand, who is also a Democrat. In U.S. House delegations, 19 were Democrats, 8 were Republicans. The elevation is 1,000 feet, 300 meters. The highest elevation was at Mount Marcy, 5,344 feet, 1,629 meters. The lowest elevation was at Atlantic Ocean, 0 feet or 0 meters. The density was 416.42 square miles, which was ranked 7, while the median household income was 68,894. In terms of income rank, it was at 15%. People from New York are identified as New Yorker, not New Yorkian, and things like that. It's New Yorker. Official language, none. Spoken language, English, Spanish, Chinese, French, Russian, Italian, Yiddish, who is actually a West Germanic language. Hindi and Urdu with 0.6%, Arabic 0.5%, Korean 0.5%. Their national bird is eastern bluebird. Their fish is brooklyn trout and striped bass, who is found in saltwater. Their flower is rose. Insect is 9. Spotted Lamberg. Mammal is North American beaver. Reptile is common snapping turtle. Tree is sugar maple. In terms of beverage, milk is. Food in fruit is apple. In terms of snack is yogurt. Fossil is Erythra paste. Gemstone is garnet. I don't even know what is it. Shell is Biscard. Their slogan is "I love New York". Other boasts Lilac Boost and sport is baseball. Of course, New York has also a lot of history, like how once New York City was actually colonized by Dutch and was named New Amsterdam. In September 11, 2001, there was an attack on World Trade Center in Lower Manhattan, which unfortunately a lot of Muslims still have to, being considered the problems in USA and Canada. After the 9/11 attack, a lot of Muslims were, seen as bad. And there was also Hurricane Sandy in 2012. And there's also COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, but I guess COVID-19 pandemic everyone is suffering, unlike Hurricane Sandy, which I don't even know. I just hear this right now. These areas are considered economic regions. These areas are considered the tourism regions. They have two major state parks in green and the Arroyon Park to the north and Casting Park to the south. The northern park is definitely much more bigger than the southern ones, definitely. And they also tend to have some very beautiful symbols. Of course, the most magnificent of all that a lot of people dream about when they think of American dream. Statue of Liberty, yes, they tend to have Statue of Liberty in case you didn't know that. and they also tend to have a lesser known but the same fascinating African burial ground aerial view, which I don't know what is it. I just figured it out right now here. Let's see. These are all the counties in New York, and there are a couple of interesting names I see, like um, Broomy, Niagara, Orleans, Jefferson, Saint Lawrence, Franklin, Clinton, Essex, Washington, Columbia, Dutchess, Westchester, Queens, Kings, Whitmore, Broken, Rockland. Yeah, pretty interesting names. In terms of biggest cities, of course, New York is the most populous one with 8 million people, followed by Buffalo, who has not even a million people, not even close to that, followed by Rochester, Yonkers, Cruz, Albany, which is the capital, is actually the sixth largest city, followed by New Rochelle, Mount Vernon, Sedina, and Utica. Yes, very weird. I have heard that New England has very interesting names, but near borders near England, so I guess that's maybe the reason. In terms of historical population, the population has always grown, except one particular year. As you guys can see, most growth was in 18th year, which the population growth was 73.2%, while 1980 was the only year the population declined at 3.7%, and it was kind of low at that time, at 70 million compared to 20 million now. But then the growth rate catched up from three negative from down to 2.5, 5.5, then it go low at 2.5, then double in 2020 odd enough at 4.2. In terms of demographics, every year whites used to make up the majority in 1950 at 93%, while now they make up in 2019 69%. See, this is the case that since all of my data comes from Wikipedia, and everyone has access to Wikipedia, so of course different people may find different resources to add up here, and some may just make things up. So if you want to do your own research, please do that because sometimes that may just be wrong or I don't know miscollected. Black or African Americans have also increased a lot, unlike some other states who have seen a decline from 6.2% to 17.6%. Usually other races have increased except white and two or more races like Asians have also struggled increasing from 0.2% to 9%. Native Hawaiian Pacific Islanders have remained the same. Other races also struggled increase from 97 to 0.4% to 5.5% in 1990. Two more races have also decreased from 3.1% to 2.7%. In terms of the largest ancestry by county, sorry I didn't do that. Irish have a lot, or there are a lot of people with Irish heritage, oddly enough, mostly in the eastern areas, and this line here are Germans in the west, and this line here. A couple, two counties have an English majority. Three counties in New York City has just Indians. A couple of them has Italian and American, who have only two counties like the English. These two fall in the gay village of Greenwich Village, Lower Manhattan, site of the June 1969 Stonewall riots, the cradle of the modern LGBTQ+ rights movement is also there. In terms of religion, Christians make up the majority of the population, 60% of those. Catholics identifies 31%, followed very closely by Protestants, 26.6%, unaffiliated or religious, aka. 27%, Jewish 7%, other Christian 3%, Muslim 1%, Buddhist 1%, Hindu 1%, and other way religions 0.5%. They also tend to have Silicon Alley and Tech Valley. In terms of New York Major League professional sports, there is the Buffalo Bills, Brooklyn Nets, New York Knights, New York City FC, Buffalo Sabres, New York Islanders, New York Rangers, New York Knicks, and New York Yankees. As you guys can see, a lot of them are basketball, and there's also a couple of ice hockey. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button, share this video with your friends, and if you have not already, subscribe to my channel since a lot of upcoming videos, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!